Avichai Goodman to speak with us. It's sweet because it's a big schus to have such a talmid chacham to share with us words of Torah. But it's a bitter. It has to be this very, very sad moment for Klal Yisrael with Rav Druckman's Petira. But either way, we're very, very happy that you've agreed to share some Divrei Torah Hesped on Rav Goodman's Rebbe, Rav Druckman. Zecher Tzaddik Levracha.
Hi everyone, thank you for coming, thank you for the opportunity. I just mentioned a few minutes ago that it's a very emotional evening for me. Not only because that it's not even 2 weeks since Rav Druckman has passed away, but tonight there was the hachtara of the new Rosh Yeshiva. Rav Druckman is a son-in-law who's been a rabbi in the yeshiva since day one. So a bit of an emotional time. So I'm going to do something that I usually don't do, and I'm going to speak with papers in front of me. I hate doing it, but I had the real privilege for 8 years to learn at Yeshivat Or Etzion, the yeshiva that Rav Druckman was, the main yeshiva that Rav Druckman was the head of. I was there for 8 years, and for the last 2.5 years that I was there, I had the privilege to be mamash meshamish Rav Druckman. I was his personal driver in the evenings, and I was one of the mazkirim in his office in the lunch breaks from yeshiva. So for 2.5 years, I had like really close connection, really, really big kirva with Rav Druckman. And seriously, I can stand here till tomorrow morning. Some of the guys almost spent the night with me the other night, listening to stories. But I know that time is short, so I just want to share with you a few words that I wrote a few days ago, which I think are appropriate. So there really is so much that can be said about Rav Druckman. I think if there's one Agadat Chazal that I can use to describe his work, is what Chazal say about Avraham Avinu. הצדיקים, אמור מעט ועשה הרבה, say Chazal, הצדיקים אומרים מעט ועשה a little bit, ועושים הרבה, they do a lot. שכן מצינו באברהם אבינו עליו השלום, we learned from Avraham Avinu, when the Malachim came, he said, I'll take some pat, some lechem, and that's what I'll give you. And at the end, he gave them meat and chem'ah. We know he said he's going to give a little bit, but gave a lot. And I think there's no more Agadat Chazal that's more appropriate to describe Rav Druckman's life and asiyah. הצדיקים אומרים מעט ועושים הרבה for Torat Israel. As we've learned and seen, Rav Druckman self-handedly, with his own hands, built the world of Torah, of religious Zionism in Israel. Dozens of yeshivot, high school yeshivot, midrashot, ulpenot, mechinot, all the different kinds. 99% of them are him or his students. There was nothing there when he started. A young 8-year-old boy who came from the Holocaust to Israel with no one, alone, just him. He built that by himself. Mori v'Rabbi, that I had the privilege of driving him around Eretz Israel, and every time he had a second free, he would ask me to give the special small red chumash that I had with Rashi that he wanted to learn, so there won't be 1 minute of wasting Torah. Mori v'Rabbi, who when he learned in Merkaz Arav, he understood there's a lack of talmidei chachamim who know off by heart Midrashei Chazal and the Agadetot and the whole Torah that Chazal left for us, so he took it as a mission. And when I came to learn from him, he was already 77. He could quote off by heart Midrashim, Psikta, Mechilta, Zohar, something that not many rabbis can do, and he based his whole Torah and most of his shiurim on actual Divrei Chazal. Tzadikim omrim me'at v'osim harbe for Eretz Yisrael. As we've learned, Rav Druckman, actually with his hurting feet and 10 fingers, was every time Eretz Yisrael called upon us, he was there. After the 6-day war, there was a famous Leil HaSeder in Hebron, where many, many people came for the first time in thousands of years. Or in Hebron, it wasn't thousands, it was a few tens of years, but the first time that there was the real ability to have a Leil HaSeder in Hebron, and the one who led it was Rav Druckman with his family, with his students. Rav Druckman, who led the fight for Yamit to not be evacuated, and the fight for Gush Katif to not be evacuated. Rav Druckman, who only 6 years ago went up to rally against the Pinui of Amona, when he was after an operation in his legs and he came with his slippers because he couldn't bear the pain to put on his shoes, but he was there. Who just half a year ago, sick after having COVID once, an operation in his eyes, went to give a shiur in the yeshiva in Chomish, which was going through a tough time, because Eretz Yisrael calls us and we come. הצדיקים אומרים מעט ועושים הרבה for Am Yisrael. As we've seen so fiercely in the yeshiva, Rav Druckman would devote his personal time to every single person that came to him needing a help and advice, if it was an individual question or problem, or if it was something klali. In a complete contrast to the manners of most celebrities and well-known people, he would actually return each and every phone call. I witnessed it sometimes and it drove me crazy. He would return every single phone call that he missed, always starting the phone call by Medaber Chaim Druckman. Not Rabbi, not Admor, Chaim Druckman. And for every public figure, organization, everyone knew that if they need anything, Rav Druckman is there for them. Mori v'Rabbi, that when Rav Mordechai Eliyahu Zecher Tzadik Livracha was asked, how can we be be'emet ohvei Israel? It's hard to love each and every Jew. We don't like some of them, right? So he said, that really is a hard thing to do. But I have a trick. I love Rav Druckman. He really does love every single Jew, and it counts for me too. הצדיקים אומרים מעט ועושים הרבה for מדינת ישראל, ראשית צמיחת גאולתנו. As we've learned from Rav Druckman, that whatever's necessary for Medinat Israel, he does, even if he doesn't want to. Rav Tzvi Yehuda sent him to be a Chaver Knesset, a member of Knesset. He didn't want to, but he went. Lehavdil, Rav Tzvi Yehuda, Bibi Netanyahu asked him to lead the Marach Giyur. He didn't want to, but he went. Mori v'Rabbi, who I don't know how many times we were sitting in shiurim and the phone rang and we were guessing, is it the prime minister? Is it the president? Who can it be that is disturbing now at 11:30 at night, and Rav Druckman would pick up the phone and say, עכשיו יש שיעור, להתקשר עוד חצי שעה. Now there's a shiur, we're learning Torah. Phone again in half an hour. And sometimes we did find out afterwards that who it was. And sometimes it was the prime minister. And he would say, not now, in half an hour we're learning Torah. הצדיקים אומרים מעט ועושים הרבה for the Jews in all over diaspora. As we've seen, Rav Druckman, the ultimate Shaliach, who was 3 times Shaliach to the United States of America, and when he was younger came for a few years every summer to here, to the UK, to teach in the seminar of Bnei Akiva, and has sent countless numbers of his students as shlichim. And when I came to tell him that I'm leaving the yeshiva to go to Kollel in Yerushalayim, to practice, to do my rabbanut and then go on shlichut, he was sad, but there was no one in the world prouder than him with what I chose to do. הצדיקים אומרים מעט ועושים הרבה for the beggars, the poor, anyone who needs support. As we saw with our eyes, Rav Druckman's home open for so many people who had nowhere to go. So they came to him, and his house was always open. And we heard from his kids and his grandchildren how they were describing Leil Seder with 80 and 90 people in the house, and they couldn't recognize most of them because people who didn't have where to go for Leil Seder came to the Rav and the Rabbanit. הצדיקים אומרים מעט ועושים הרבה for their students, for their talmidim. As we saw in yeshiva and all the other mosdot that Rav Druckman ran, that he would invest everything for his talmidim in such a way that so many people, one of the words that we heard so many times in all the Hespedim, there was one word that was heard the most, which is mechanech, but the second word that was heard almost as much was Abba. I saw 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds crying and saying, we've lost Abba. 70 years difference, but that's what so many people felt. Mori v'Rabbi, he'd never missed a wedding, any simcha or letzarenu, other events of Bogrim. There's a famous picture from just a year ago. He's in a wheelchair, again in slippers after an operation, in pouring rain, and he was at a azkara of a student that died in the army, was killed in the army 28 years ago. But Rav Druckman came year after year. Why? Michuyavut shel talmidim. A Rosh Yeshiva who would come with his talmidim to the Beis in Tel HaShomer in Israel on the day going to the army, the day of recruitment, and give a big kiss and a big hug. And when it was my time, and I said, my day to get a big kiss and a hug from Rav Druckman, He was stuck in traffic, and I already boarded the bus, but he came and he stopped the bus, and he didn't let the bus go till he gets on and greets and gives the bracha to his students. And students from Yeshivat HaKotel and Ma'ale Adumim, they were on the bus, also got a bracha. I didn't get a kiss that day, but a massive lesson in education. Hatzadikim omrim me'at v'osim harbeh, to educate us how to get up from hard times and never give up. Rav Druckman almost died or was killed 4 times in his life. From the Nazis, to a river in Europe, to again the Nazis, to a terrorist attack on the way to Hebron. 4 times he was that close to dying, and he just got up. Mori v'Rabbi, who would say countless times, he would quote the drasha of Chazal, Et tzara hi liYaakov u'mimena yivashea. It says it's a hard time for Am Yisrael, for Yaakov, but we're gonna thrive from it. And he would read out the psikta that says u'mimena yivashea. Davka, the hard times is what make us grow. Who just 2.5 weeks ago, the family was called to say Shema Yisrael and Vidoy and goodbye, but he sat up. Literally sat up. Hatzadikim omrim me'at v'osim harbeh, for Shabbat Kodesh. As Rav Druckman would give every Shabbat between 9 to 10 regular shiurim, 9 or 10 depending summer or winter. 9 to 10 regular shiurim every Shabbat for 50 years, until Sukkot. Mori v'Rabbi, whose nigunim are engraved in all of his talmidim's mind, and the memory of his special nigun of Ribon Kol HaOlamim conveys a sharp pain in the heart. Hatzadikim omrim me'at v'osim harbeh, for achdut in Am Yisrael. As Rav Druckman was accepted literally by everyone. I mentioned this on Tuesday, a search on YouTube of Rav Druckman Azkara. Amazing, dozens and dozens of videos from all the yeshivot and shuls and Haredi websites and religious Zionist websites. Everyone is mentioning him, and everyone is saying Divrei Hesped. People who on the other day I wouldn't find anything they have in common. They had Rav Druckman in common. Mori v'Rabbi, who never said a bad word about anyone, and when he wanted to be harsh, he would say, "I'm sorry for what I'm going to say. Aval ze mamash chaval. That's a shame." That was his bad word. Hatzadikim omrim me'at v'osim harbeh, to have as much influence as they can, an impact on other Jews. As we see with Rav Druckman, who was the head of Yeshivat Or Etzion, Yeshivat Yichonit Or Etzion, Yeshivat Torat Etzion, Midreshet Or Meofir, Midreshet Orot Etzion, Mechinat Or Meofir, Mechinat Or Shlomo, the head of all Yeshivot and Ulpenot of Bnei Akiva in Israel, the head of Bnei Akiva, the youth movement in Israel, the head of Bnei Akiva youth movement of worldwide. He was the rabbi of the Ravs, the rabbi of the students, the rabbi of the Balebatim, the rabbi of the soldiers, the rabbi of the policemen, the rabbi of the politicians, the rabbi of the poor, the rabbi of the great, the rabbi of the sick, the rabbi of the weak, the rabbi of anyone who wanted, the rabbi of all of Am Yisrael. Hatzadikim omrim me'at v'osim harbeh. And Mori v'Rabbi Rav Druckman actually did so much. Chazal teach us, Ra'a Kadosh Baruch Hu shetzadikim mu'atim, amad u'shtalam b'chol dor v'dor. Hashem saw that the tzadikim were few, not enough of them. So he planted them in each generation. Our generation needed such a tzaddik to be revealed in it. Rav Druckman was planted in our generation, and he became a massive, magnificent tree whose roots were all sucking and based in Torah Moshe and in Divrei Chazal, whose branches spread to the whole of all the parts of Am Yisrael, whose fruit was so sweet. And from this magnificent tree, he sent so many small seedlings that emerge out. Us, small seedlings, but with enormous powers and endless abilities. Now it's our turn, the seedlings, to live the will of Morenu v'Rabbeinu. Say little, emor me'at. Do a lot, emor harbe, harbe tov. Teh nishmatot tzura b'tzror chaim. Thank you so much.